All right, so now we know how to solve systems of equations by substitution. We're going to learn how we can apply these to kind of some real life or real life situations. So our two goals, I can write a system of equations from a word problem, and I can use substitution as a method to solve the equations. All right, so these are a few things that we need to do in order to successfully complete those goals. So first you need to define your variables. What are the two unknowns? And then you need to identify the totals. Look for words such as is, total, or altogether. And then we're going to write two separate equations. Each question should represent one specific scenario or relationship. So let's take a look at applying these and see what it actually means. So a fruit stand sells apples for $2 each and bananas for $1 each. You bought a total of 10 pieces of fruit and spent $14. How many of each did you buy? All right, so looks like we have apples and bananas that we're trying to figure out how many we bought. So I'm going to go ahead and write down apples. And I'm going to give them the variable x. You can give it any variable you want. That's just the one I'm going to give it. Then we want bananas. I'm going to give that a variable y. Okay, so we have apples and bananas, and we know we bought a total of 10 pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an equation of saying apples plus bananas and set it equal to 10, because I know the total was 10 pieces. Okay, so I'm going to say x plus y equals 10. All right. Okay, that's one equation. Now, what's the next equation? Well, they talked about how much each fruit cost. So if you take a look at the cost, it says apples are $2 each. So I'm going to put a little $2 sign right here in front of my apples. And it says bananas are $1 each. Okay, so I'm going to put a little $1 right in front of here. And it says I spent $14 on the 10 pieces of fruit that I bought. Okay, so I know the total of money was $14. So this looks like the beginning of an equation that we can use. So I can say $2 per apple. So I'm going to say 2x, because x represents my apples. It's $1 per banana. So I'm going to say 1y, or just write y. You could write either one. And then that equals a total of $14 that I spent. And there I have my system of equations. And I'm ready to solve. We're going to go ahead and use substitution. So in this case, I do not have a variable that is isolated yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one right here. And I'm going to minus the x over, and it ends up looking like y equals negative x plus 10. Because I just subtracted the x to both sides. Okay, so now I'm going to take that, well, right here, and I'm going to plug it in right here. So I'm going to say 2x plus, now you can use parentheses if you want. You don't have to in this case because there's no multiplication that's going to happen. So negative x plus 10 goes in place for the y equals 14. All right, I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms. So I'm going to combine the 2x plus negative x, which is x. Bring down my plus 10 equals 14. Then I just have to subtract 10 from both sides. And I get x equals 4. So that means I bought 4 apples. Okay, and if I plug this back into this equation right here, if I bought 4 apples and 10 total, that means I bought 6 bananas. Because if I plugged it in, let's come down here, I would have 4 plus y equals 10 minus 4 on both sides, and y equals my 6 bananas. Okay? So there's an example of how you can apply system of equations to a situation like this. All right, we have a couple more we're going to go over. A group of 8 friends goes to the movies. A small popcorn costs $4, and a large popcorn costs $6. If the group spent a total of $42 on 8 bags of popcorn, how many of each size did they buy? Okay, so it looks like we're talking about popcorn. So first off, we're going to talk about, we have an option of small popcorn. And then let's go ahead and give that the value of x. And then it talks about large popcorn. Let's give that the value of y. Okay, and then does it give me a total of bags of popcorn that I bought? Yeah, it says I bought 8 bags of popcorn. So that gives me my first equation. I bought small popcorn, I bought some big popcorn, and I know they total 8 bags. All right, so what about the cost? Looks like it says small popcorn costs $4. So I'm going to put a little 4 right here to help me remember that. And $6 for a large popcorn. Okay, and does it give me a total for how much money I spent? So a total of $42. So I know I spent $42 total dollars. So that will help me write my second equation. So we're going to do $4 for small plus $6 for the large, and a total of $42. And there is my system of equations. So let's go ahead and solve for those. How much small popcorn and how much big popcorn did I buy? Notice on this one, they said a group of 8 friends. They kind of tried to throw you off by giving you an extra number there that you didn't actually need. So sometimes make sure if there's a number there, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to use it. Make sure you pick out exactly what it is you're looking for. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to take this one and we're going to say y equals negative x plus 8. So I do that simply because I minus x to both sides. And so I got negative x plus 8, or you could write it as 8 minus x. In reality, it's not a big deal right now. We will learn later that, remember, standard form, we usually want the x. I like to write everything in slope-intercept form, I guess. So down here, we're going to take this negative x plus 8, and we're going to substitute it in for the y. So we're going to get 4x plus 6 times, so I'm going to use a parentheses, negative x plus 8 equals 42. Let's distribute our 6, and we get 4x, and then here we got a negative 6x, because 6 times negative x is negative 6x. 6 times 8 is 48, equals 42. Combine like terms, we have negative 2x plus 48 equals 42. I'm running out of room. So I have minus 48 to both sides, from both sides. So I'm going to just continue over here. And I'll get negative 2x equals, and then 42 minus 48 is negative 6. So divide both sides by negative 2, and x equals 3. So that means we bought 3 small bags of popcorn. And if we had a total of 8, and we had 3 small, that means there's got to be 5 big bags of popcorn that they bought. Okay? So we were able to figure out how many bags of popcorn they got of each size. Okay, let's try another one. Plan A charges a flat fee of $30 plus $5 per gigabyte of data. Okay, that sounds like an equation right there. But let's keep reading. Plan B charges a flat fee of $10 plus $10 per gigabyte of data. That sounds like another equation. After how many gigabytes, G, so this time they're actually giving me variables they want me to use, will the total cost C be the same? So we want to compare the data plans and see after how many gigabytes used would they be the same price. So let's go back to Plan A. So Plan A charges a flat fee of $30. So that means I have to pay $30 no matter how many gigabytes I use. And then on top of that, I'm going to do $5 per gigabyte. So I'm going to write it as 5G. Okay, and the total cost, well, they didn't tell me the total cost, so I'm just going to say that equals the variable C, because C is the cost. Okay, let's take a look at Plan B. So Plan B does a flat fee of $10, so that means $10 no matter what, but they sell their gigabytes of $10 per gigabyte, so that'd be 10G. And once again, that would equal the total cost. Okay, so as I look at this, do I have any variables that are isolated? Yeah, I notice that C is isolated on both of them. So all I'm going to do, this is actually set up for me. So I'm going to take this 5G plus 30, since that is C, I'm going to plug it in right here. So we're going to rewrite 10G plus 10 equals 5G plus 30. And we got a variable on both sides. So we're going to solve for the gigabytes. All right, let's see. So I'm going to move all my variables to one side. So I'm going to take this 5G and I'm going to subtract it over here. And that will leave me with, I'm going to write it up over here. That would leave me with 5G plus 10 equals 30. Okay, at that point, let's subtract 10 from both sides. And we get 5 gigabytes equals 20. Divide both sides by 5. That means G equals 4. Okay, so what that's telling me is after I've used 4 gigabytes on either plan, I'd be paying the same. So it doesn't matter if I would pick Plan A or Plan B if I was planning on just using 4 gigabytes, because it would be the same price in the end. Okay, now as you continue to use more and more gigabytes, obviously Plan B would probably get more and more expensive because it's $10 per gigabyte. But if you just plan on using 4 gigabytes, it doesn't matter which plan you choose because it would be the same after the 4 gigabytes. Okay, so applying solving systems of equations by substitution. I can write a system of equations from a word problem. So that's kind of what we did here in the light blue and the dark blue. We wrote the system. And then we can use substitution as a method to solve the equations, which is what we did on all 3 of these equations. We use substitution to help us solve. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help.